Hi there. Our top story on Indian Express Opinion Videos is the meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. Mr. Modi has left the US for the Netherlands. He is returning home now. But this all-important meeting between Modi and Trump has been top of the hour, top of the minute. It's occupied all our time. And to break this down, to look at this story between the lines, I have with me Shubhajit on the other end of the line in Washington, D.C. to break down this big story. Shubhajit, tell us, what are the big takeaways from the Modi-Trump meeting?
So this particular meeting, if you remember, was the first contact meeting, and they were very clear that they will talk about big picture policy issues. So in that sense, the strategic issues were top of the agenda and economic issues. And these two issues were the most important, and they took most of the mind space. The issues of human rights and were discussed at an official working level and not between the leaders. And that because both sides did not want to venture into each other's domestic political territory. That was a clear-cut message that both of them wanted to send out, that we don't want to influence, or we don't want to interfere in each other's political atmosphere.
Now, Shubhajit, as you said, one of the big issues that both sides talked about was Pakistan. Syed Salahuddin has been designated a global terrorist, and other outfits in Pakistan have also been named. But what exactly was this conversation between the two leaders on Pakistan?
Well, in Pakistan, as is reflected in the joint statement, and Foreign Secretary said that it captures the essence and the substance of the conversation very accurately. The common position on cross-border terrorism was one of the key conversations the two leaders had in the bilateral meeting, which went on for about almost 5 hours. They started at around 3:30 and then went on till early working dinner between the two leaders, which was hosted by the First Lady. So during these 5 hours of conversation, intense conversation that these two leaders had, Pakistan figured very prominently, and counterterrorism cooperation and a new mechanism on designating domestic as well as international terrorists was agreed upon, which can be used for not just people like Masood Azhar, as well as other such terrorist groups or individuals in the years to come.
Now, we know that there was no direct reference to China in the joint statement, and we have also seen in the run-up to the visit to the US how Prime Minister Modi has stopped being publicly critical of the Chinese. Perhaps this is because we all saw how Trump feted Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, at his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida. So what do you think, Shubhajit, did the two leaders talk about China?
Jyoti, on China, the conversation was very, very, dominant, because in 3 of the meetings, remember, today morning, Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with Defense Secretary Mattis, then Secretary of State Tillerson, and then Donald Trump, the President. All 3 meetings, the continuing theme was about Indo-Pacific, freedom of navigation, and that has been the issue of freedom of navigation in South China Sea has been a dominant concern of both countries. Remember in 2015 when US President Barack Obama had visited India, at that point in time a separate joint document on Indo-Pacific was signed. And I think even after Trump administration has come, there has been a change of guard, but US position on China has been very, very strong, and that is reflected in this particular juncture. The second thing with respect to China that has figured in the conversation is the alignment of position on the China-Pakistan economic corridor. You have to remember, India has boycotted the Belt and Road Initiative, in mid-May, which was hosted by Chinese President Xi Jinping, because that's his pet project. But India boycotted it, and US had sent a mid-level delegation, higher than what it had earlier assured or promised. Now, from mid-May to end of June, the evolution of US position has happened, and today they have clearly stated the Indian position that the respect for sovereignty has to be there, and that is reflected in the joint statement.
Now, on the meeting between the Prime Minister and several American CEOs on the eve of the Trump meeting, Shubhajit, what is it that the two sides talked about? What do American companies want in terms of coming into India, in terms of making in India?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as my sources yesterday told me that, during the meeting which was hosted by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, at least three prominent CEOs, including Amazon chief Jeff Bezos, Apple CEO Tim Cook, and some others as well, applauded the GST regime, which is going to come into force on 1st of July, and also the demonetization initiative. In fact, I think Tim Cook, he said that no other leader in the world would have taken such a bold step. So I think there is an appreciation about the ease of business that was reflected in their comments, even post the meeting and during the meeting as well. And that was the major takeaway, that they still felt, despite the pace is not that as high or as rapid as any business, as any investor would want it to be, but it is, I think, still India offers a good investment destination. That sense was conveyed by all the top CEOs, majority of the top CEOs, to the Indian Prime Minister.
Now, as you've said, Syed Salahuddin, the Kashmiri militant who has been living in Pakistan for several years and has been designated by the Americans as a global terrorist. Now, what exactly does this mean? How does it change America's policy towards Pakistan, if it does in any way? How do the Americans follow through on this?
No, this is a very, very important development. Syed Salahuddin is the leader of the Kashmiri militant group, Hizbul Mujahideen. Hizbul Mujahideen has been very, very active since last year in Kashmir. After the encounter, after the killing of the local commander Burhan Wani last year, Kashmir has been in turmoil. And the Indian position has been that it's a security issue which is being perpetrated by Pakistan-based terror groups and Pakistan-sponsored groups. So that is why for US to acknowledge and to designate Salahuddin as a terrorist is a very, very significant development, because that means India's position on Kashmir and on the current turmoil, US is taking same arguments and giving a kind of endorsement to the kind of the narrative that the Indian security establishment has tried to build. So in that sense, it's quite a significant development, it's not just a listing, it's a policy shift that we've seen in this particular visit.
Shubhajit, thank you so much for explaining this very complex story to us. We know that on the eve of the visit, the Indian government was playing down expectations from this visit, but big hug and all, the embrace between Modi and Trump, that has defined it in many ways. But of course, it has been a triumph for the Prime Minister.